ACC Championship odds for 2024. You've got Clemson with the best odds, tied with Florida State, both at 9.5 wins project for the 2024 regular season. Remember, guys, this is regular season numbers. This doesn't include a bowl game or a conference championship. So if you are betting on these numbers, just understand that. Miami at plus 450. Louisville at plus 470. I'm sure they're going to tell me I just said that wrong. Louisville, I don't, whatever.
It's Louisville.
Louisville.
Yeah.
All right. It's Louisville.
There you go. That's perfect.
Perfect. NC State plus 1,400. SMU plus 1,600. Interesting to see SMU on that bad boy, right? Mm-hmm. That's interesting. So Clemson and Florida State tied at plus 290. Whenever I see them tied at the top there, I think back to that matchup that we saw last year, 2023, and we saw Florida State pull out a pretty improbable victory against Clemson last year. In all honesty, Clemson lost that game more than Florida State won that game. I think we can all agree that. And look, I'm not a Clemson fan or anything like that, so I don't want to sound like sour grapes or anything, but just from a bird's eye view or from the outside looking in, it looked like Clemson just kind of fumbled that game away. So literally, I feel really good about Florida State this year, Mason. I think they're going to be right back on track to win this ACC. And I'm going to be honest with you. Clemson fans, if you're watching this, I'd love to hear your input on this. You might not like what I have to say right this second, but I don't love Cade Klubnik. I'm just not in love with Cade Klubnik right now. And look, I've said the same about other quarterbacks in the past. I've said the same about Georgia's quarterbacks in the past, namely Stan Bennett. Okay? I will be the first one to tell you that there was a time when I said, even after he won a national championship, I said, that was awesome. Please leave.
Mm-hmm.
Please leave. Let's move on. And what did he do? He gave me the big middle finger, and he came on back and won another one. Okay? And became one of the most decorated college football players ever in the history of the game. So, with that being said, I'm not saying what I'm saying is gospel. But I'm just not in love with this signal caller. And if you are, I'd like to hear what you've seen that you feel really good about. This is all none of this is to say that he can't get better. Okay. So I think that the defense is going to be better for Clemson this year. Okay. I think they kind of had taken a step back last year after, some talent had walked out the door. Clemson has yet again decided not to use the transfer portal. I think that's a bad mistake. If everybody else is using the transfer portal, don't you think you need to be using the transfer portal as well? I think that's common sense. And Dabo Swinney has been very stubborn with that. And I think this is a make or break year for Clemson in certain ways. It's been a while since Clemson's been on that title run. We'll just have to see. I like Florida State. They brought in a lot of talent. They've been recruiting really well. They've hit the transfer portal again. Brought in DJU. We'll have to see how that situation works out. But probably for betting purposes, my favorite is Miami. Because of the fact, look, this coach is, Mario Cristobal is not a great Saturday coach. Okay? I think we can all agree to that. I don't think he's the best Saturday coach. But the other days of the week, the dude is on it. He is bringing in serious talent. And I think Restrepo is going to have a really big year for them. I like this offense. The defense is uber talented. If they can put all that stuff together, I think they stand just as good a chance to win the ACC as Florida State or Clemson. You got Louisville, NC State, SMU kind of round them out. I think they're kind of on a second tier. I think you've got these top three teams here that are clearly top tier, and then I think you've got a second tier to the ACC. What are your thoughts on this list and the odds leaders to win the ACC championship?
Yeah, I mean, I agree that there's a drop-off. To me, the drop-off, though, is from Louisville to NC State. Obviously, Vegas's odds are,
Sure.
kind of agree with that. But I think that Louisville. Geez, I keep messing that up. Sorry, Louisville fans. The Cardinals. I can't say that either because now I feel like I'm talking about the NFL. Anyway, so the Louisville has done such a great job in the transfer portal. They really have, and I think that people sleep on that. They go out, they get Tyler Shook, and outside of that, they just got a whole bunch of depth added to their roster. They've done a pretty good job in recruiting, actually,
Yep.
and I think that they've done so well with their roster turnover that they're going to go from playing in the ACC Championship last year. People forget that, right? They did do that. Kind of like Oklahoma State, where people kind of forget, that they were actually in it last year. To for Louisville to putting together a roster that at least the top 22, the starting team on both sides of the football, can compete with a Clemson, with a Florida State, with a Miami. The depth beyond that is a question. How healthy can they stay? Do they find a couple of gems, right, in the rest of that room? That's the big question to me. But I think that Louisville with Tyler Shook should be pretty good. They did lose Jamari Thrash, which I was hoping that he would stay around for one more year. Their wide receiver, number 1 from last year, he was awesome. But what can they do? What can they do with this new roster? That's a big question mark for me. I agree with you. I think Miami is going to be very fun to watch with Cam Ward. I think they're going to be electric. Restrepo was one of the best receivers in the ACC last year. He's going to continue to be a great possession receiver and is going to continue to amass a ton of yards, hopefully more touchdowns this year as well. And then Florida State, once again, they took a really good team, right, and said, okay, how can we get better? They went out and just killed it in the transfer portal. Got like 5 players from Alabama. Once Saban announced that he was retiring, did a great job in recruiting. They got some really key players and key pieces to fill their roster and fill the holes in their roster. I'm excited to see what they end up putting on the field. Can they take another step forward on the defense, right? That was the area that I saw some holes where they just weren't consistent, right? The offense on the other side, they were also inconsistent, but they had a lot of electric playmakers. Some of those guys are gone. And I think that that's why you see Clemson sort of take the next step up. Clemson returns a lot more talent than Florida State, right? They have a lot more consistency, but I don't know that they're better. And really, I guess they're not ahead. Looking at the odds, they're ahead on this sheet, but the odds are the same, And I guess I can kind of get on board with that a little bit. I'm kind of with you, Mark. I'm not a big Klubnik fan. I haven't seen a really good Clemson receiver in quite some time. They've had some good ones, but not like really good to great, not first round talent type receivers. That's what's been lacking in this offense. And I'm excited to see kind of what they bring in this year. I've heard that their receiver room has gotten a little bit of a facelift with some talent that they've brought in. Haven't seen it really matriculate onto the field yet. So can they produce on the outside? Their defense is going to be really good. I don't doubt that. I see it as a 1A and 1B. I'm kind of with you, Mark, and I think that there's a storyline here, an underlying storyline that people haven't really caught on to yet, but you're going to hear a lot about it as we get closer to fall. And it's DJ Uiagalelei playing against his old team in Clemson. People forget he played for Clemson. Initially it was pretty good. It's pretty dang good. Well, initially he was the first year. And then he kind of, 2021, 2022, he kind of fell off, but he gets to play his old team from Florida State's vantage point. What kind of dynamic does that create? It's going to be a fun storyline in college football. I've got my money on Florida State to win it all. To win the ACC championship, not the national championship, but give me Florida State. I think they're going to take another step forward.
You heard it here first, folks. Mason thinks Florida State is winning the national championship.
Right. I'm getting off. Bye. No.